Good morning, Wendell.
Morning, Gary.
You were, as we know, it's been well documented, the first African-American scholarship athlete to compete in a varsity sport at the University of Alabama. Your head coach was C.M. Newton. I know you had a special bond with him. A lot of people had a bond with him, but I can only imagine what it must have been like, though, to be the first African-American basketball coach, varsity sport athlete at the University of Alabama, and the bond that you built with him over those 4 years. Of course, Coach Sanderson and some others, John Bostic as well. But tell me about your relationship with Coach Newton, not just when you were a player, but over the years as well.
Well, Coach Newton and I have had a relationship for 49 years here, as of right now. Well, for 49 long, most of them are very good years. Probably not the 4 that I was playing because I was a knucklehead from time to time, But no, we've had a great relationship. He was Sim has said some things about me that I don't know how true they are, but I was the right person at the right time, and when he recruited me to Alabama, but he was the right person to really be at Alabama at that time to do some of the things that he ended up doing by recruiting me and building the basketball program into one of those national basketball program, and it had a long history of really good basketball at Alabama.
Yeah, he did say that you were the right person at the right time, and he talked to me about that a couple years ago in the final television interview that I did, that I did with him. And he said that obviously they knew your basketball talent. He and the staff knew you could play. They knew that there were a lot of African Americans in the state of Alabama that could really play basketball and that were going to change the fortunes of University of Alabama basketball going forward. But at the same time, they also knew that the first African American that came in was going to have tough skin, that was going to have to be able to deal with not just learning to play basketball at this level but going on the road and putting up with a lot of nonsense. And I know it was tough for you, but the confidence that he had in you and your ability to get through it. Tell me what that was like when you came in here, not just dealing with coming in here at the University of Alabama, but as I said, going on the road to hostile environments, how that you got through that with his help.
Well, I think one of the first things that CM told us in the recruiting process, and told my mom, he said, listen, he said, I don't know all the things he's going to go through being the first African-American to be on scholarship at Alabama. He said, but what I promise you is that I will do everything in my power to take care of. And Gary, that's what he did. It was, and you're right, it was not an easy road from time to time, and then sometimes, a lot of times, people don't like to hear about it. It wasn't an easy road from time to time.
Right.
But we made it through there, and with his help, his confidence in me, and we really never sit down and just talked about, hey, this could be a problem or that could be a problem. We addressed the problems as they came up. We didn't have a plan, and we didn't have all this information. Whatever came up, if there was a problem, we addressed it. And he was good at doing that, small things. And I've told this story before, away from basketball. When I moved into Bryant Hall, I had about 3 strands of hair that grew up under my neck. And anyway, the rule back then was that everybody had to be clean shaven. And I mean, I remember seeing him calling me in his office and he said, hey, Hutch, you got to shave. And I looked at him like, shave what? But we addressed that problem, and I got a razor somehow, and I shaved those 3 strands for hair out, And that's the kind of thing that was worked out during that particular time. We just addressed problems when they presented themselves. No big plan.
Coming out of Parker High School, and you could have gone. You had a lot of options for college, and you mentioned your mom and your parents. It was going to happen. I mean, there was going to be. I mean, already there was integration at the university, and football was about to happen, and it was going to come, but there had to be a first, and it was you. Because I know it wasn't just about you, it was about your parents and them having confidence in Coach Newton. What was it about him in the recruiting process that they said, and of course, obviously you said, that this is a guy that we can play for that will help get us through this?
Well, I think the biggest thing about CM and his staff at that particular time is that we felt like we could trust him. I mean, that was an honest answer. He didn't try to give me something, you know. He didn't try to say everything's going to be rosy and everything's going to be good, you know. And actually, he said just the opposite of that. He said, you're going to have some problems. I know that. You're going to have some problems on the court and off the court and when we travel. But from the way I'm going to treat you and the way that we're going to treat you and the way that we're going to try to make sure that we're going to take care of you. And so that was an honest answer. I mean, that was an honest answer, not painting a pretty picture about everything's going to be rosy and everything's going to be okay. And that gave myself and my mother a chance to trust him and feel good about him and believe that, you know, this thing could work.
Through the years, of course, you started your coaching career under him as an assistant at Alabama, and then he moved on to the SEC office, and Vanderbilt as the head coach, Kentucky as the AD, and then eventually retired here back here in Tuscaloosa. How did your relationship with him, you mentioned 49 years, how did it evolve? I mean, what did the friendship post-basketball become like, and how important was that to you, and especially in his final years?
Well, you know, as a player, we had a player-coach relationship, which means that sometimes, and he's told a couple of stories where we disagreed about how to do some things, especially rebounding. And I know that story is true. And so as a player, you know, we disagreed about some things and we played and we made it through that. But as post-play, you know, that was he was the most influential basketball person in the world, not just in the country, not just in the Southeast, but in the world. I was over in Europe one time and was talking to these people, and I was with a friend of mine playing basketball over in Europe. And we were talking, and my friend said, yeah, he played for CM Newton. And you would have thought, Gary, that I played for John Wooten, you know, or whoever, you know, in college basketball. But they got all excited, Mr. Newton, you know, because of the FIBA basketball that he was involved in. I mean, and it changed my status. They thought I knew somebody. And but it was unbelievable all over the world.
That's the thing, Wendell, and sometimes, you know, here in Tuscaloosa, people remember him, you know, mainly as the former Alabama coach and had those 3 straight SEC championship teams in 74, 75, and 76, and that 76 team, of which I think you were already either a graduate assistant or some type of an assistant coach with him then, was one of the great teams in Alabama history. Your team in 74, you know, the first year that you were helping out as an assistant. And that last team you played on in 73 was a great team and didn't make it into the NCAA. But he was so, as you said, he's an international icon in the game of Basketball Hall of Fame, his work with U.S. basketball and USA basketball and the Olympic team. And I don't know that sometimes people recognize here just how, as you said, how well known he is internationally in for his work with basketball.
Gary.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't think I really did. I felt that way when I was in Tuscaloosa. They all saw him as CM. He's the ex-coach. He's AD out, you know, over here now. But from a basketball standpoint, from people from all over the world contacting him about players and jobs and committees and doing all those type of things. I mean, you know, the Basketball Hall of Fame, I was invited to be a part of the family. My wife and I to be a part of the family when he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And, you know, that experience right there and the fact that, you know somebody that's in the, you know, Basketball Hall of Fame and that ceremony, it was unbelievable. But that was a part of our relationship, too. I'll never forget he called me, and I had already heard and read about him being inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And he called me and said, hey, Hud, I would like for you to go up here as part of the family. And I said, okay. He said, now, you know, we got family, this and this and this. And he said, but no, he actually said, I want you to go up as my wife. I said, Coach, I don't know about going up as your wife or not. And we laughed about that and all that because at the time, Evelyn, his wife, she was dead and she had died 2 or 3 years before. But as far as going up with the family and being a part of that, and that you're talking about just building that relationship closer and closer. And Gary, you know, even towards the end of his life when I was still in Tuscaloosa, we had a group of people and he came to lunch every Thursday. Even when he was ailing and not in good health.
Right.
And, you know, we visited and, you know, of course, I've been over to his house and all that kind of stuff and visited with him and we talked and, but he was still hanging in there and he was just, it was good. It was good. It was like I said, 49 years of knowing a person and starting off with in definitely two different worlds and coming together for a cause and being recruited at Alabama. And he recruited me there and all that and coming there. And then going through the next, 45 years after playing there, just building a relationship. It was always good.
Yeah, it was. And I got to know him a little bit too. And with him living here in Tuscaloosa and had always admired him from afar. And you said something about him coming to lunch. I guess that's the thing that, outside of basketball, and, we don't hear this term used as much anymore as it once was. I don't know if that's because there aren't as many of the true gentlemen left, but he was just a true gentleman, wasn't he, Wendell? I mean, he treated people the way he wanted to be treated. No one was too important. And I watched him, in the basketball room, post-game press conferences when he would come to, with Coach Grant and even with Coach Avery Johnson, even as you said, after he was in bad health. And, of course, when you were coaching, he would come and he would visit with people. It didn't matter who they were. He put just as much time and effort into saying hello to somebody that he didn't know as he would John Calipari or Avery Johnson or anyone else. That's what I admired about him, was his genuineness with people.
Well, Gary, and you're right. And a lot of times people still didn't know who they were visiting with. They knew he was CM Newton and he was a basketball coach at Alabama, but they had no clue of his range and scope of influence. And I mean, that was a time that he probably named every head coach that was hired during a period of time. Or if he didn't name them, people called him to check to see if this would be a good hire. And so the influence on the world of basketball is still going on, because there's a lot of basketball coaches that have gotten jobs because of CM Newton and their relationship with him and getting to know him and that kind of stuff.
Visiting with Wendell Hudson about the legendary and now late CM Newton. Yeah, you make a point on that. I remember when LSU came in here a couple of years ago, and Ben Simmons was a freshman, obviously just waiting to go to the NBA, and Johnny Jones was coaching LSU, and Coach Newton came into the post-game press conference, and after it was over with Johnny Jones, he took Ben Simmons with him back to Coach Newton, and exactly what you said, he introduced him and started telling Ben Simmons who this is, what this man is about in the game of basketball. He wanted Ben Simmons to know, like you said, that he was talking to an icon. That's the kind of respect he had from people in the basketball world, just like you said. Amazing.
Yeah. The basketball world was, it was, look at the people he hired when he was AD at Kentucky. And then when he moved on from there, and the feeble part of it, the dream team, the first dream team, and not just the dream team, but continue with the Olympics and continue with FIBA basketball. I'm telling you, up until his health stopped him from going, he went to those FIBA meetings all the time. I mean, he was, Coach, where you going? Well, got that meeting, and that was him. He was always on the move, being active, promoting basketball and promoting not just in Alabama, but promoting basketball all around the world. I mean, he was just very influential in doing that kind of stuff.
Visiting with Wendell Hudson about the late, great C.M. Newton. As a basketball coach, because you went on to a long career in coaching yourself, how did he influence? I know he was he was firm, but he was not a yeller or a screamer, and that kind of became your style. I talk about his influence on you as a basketball coach. How did he influence your style as a basketball coach? Well,
Gary, I've told people a lot of times they've asked me about playing at Alabama, and I said I played for the right coach. And if you play for the right coach, that person can get the most out of you. And you're exactly right. He was not a ranter and raver and holler and screamer. And one of the best compliments I can give him as a coach, to my knowledge, he never embarrassed a player on the court. Now, Gary?
That's hard to do, isn't it? That's hard to do, isn't it, Wendell?
Yes. Gary, I don't know if I can. I can't say that about myself, and I tried not to, and that was a part of it. But I mean, if he had something, to talk to you about, and like you said, he was firm. But if he had something to really talk to you about, that was going to be one of those hey, we got to get something straightened out here about basketball or other things, it was always done in his office. Even during the game, you know, he was coaching and he was teaching. And he was always teaching and coaching. And so you heard what he said. And you know, that's a statement right there that a lot of people don't understand. You heard every word he was saying as a coach in the huddle at halftime, because it was not a rant or rave. And a lot of times when you rant and rave, you don't hear everything that the coach is saying. You're okay, yeah, you know. And so that was a plan for him, and plan for a guy who can get the most out of you without that. And I know I played for the right person to get the most out of me, and a lot of good players. And, you know, that term about a player's coach is a lot of times overused today. But I'm telling you, Sam was that person. He was in college. And there were times he would come in the huddle and he would say, hey, this is what we're going to run. And it was okay for certain players at a certain level that might have understood exactly what we were trying to do, to say, hey, coach, that's not working because they're doing this on defense. And he would say, okay, well, then let's just change that up and do this such and such. And those are things right there where I don't know how many people are doing that today, but that was saying a lot about him and his teaching basketball to the teams when we were in practice, but also the confidence that he has taught us to look at the game in a whole sense.
Absolutely. Well, Wendell, it's been a blessing to have an opportunity to catch up with you, even under these circumstances. Final question. You knew this day was coming. Obviously, his health had been failing, and I'm sure you were preparing yourself for it, but still, what was it like when you got that phone call that he had passed?
Well, you know, yes, I did. I knew that he had been put in the hospice, and I knew, you know, this day was coming. It's still sad. It's sad, but it's like what Martin and I kind of said. You know, we feel like he's in a better place, and he's not suffering the way he was suffering.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a bittersweet pill here. That's what it is.
Well, he was a great man, and I really appreciate you coming on and kicking off the show. There may be a few other people, but not many people had a closer relationship with C.M. Nitton than you did, Wendell. And hope you and Belinda are well and the family's good, and thanks a lot for joining me.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.